Our next movie is from India, and it's a surprisingly moving and dramatic film that tells the story of a 10-year-old boy who was abandoned to live on the streets of Bombay. The name of the movie is Salaam, Bombay, and as it opens, the boy named Chai Pao is separated from the circus that he's been traveling with. In Bombay, he joins the society of other orphans and drifters and street kids, and finally, he finds work as a tea boy, working for pennies as he brings tea to the residents of one of the poorest districts in the city. Life is hard in this society, but Chai Pao's youth makes him blind to some of the realities. Since he's separated from his mother, he transfers his need for affection to a young prostitute who is almost as naive as he is. There were scenes in the movie that reminded me of the London depicted by Charles Dickens a century ago. Scenes like this one, when a prostitute and her pimp visit their daughter who has been taken away from them and locked up in a government school.
कैसी है तू? तो ठीक है ना? बोलती क्यों नहीं मन रही?
Salaam, Bombay tells a sad story, but it is not really a sad movie because of the sense of life in the film. It's so abundant. Chai Pao is an unfortunate child, but not a hopeless one because he has intelligence and pluck and courage, and with a few breaks, he might actually survive to grow up to be somebody someday. The movie shows us India as it's rarely been seen before. It was all shot on location, and some of the scenes, like a beggar's funeral, were shot with hidden cameras so that we can see the real reactions of the passers-by. The film's director is Meera Nair, a young Indian woman who studied film at Harvard and then made 4 documentaries before Salaam, Bombay, which is her first fiction film. She knows how to tell her story movingly and honestly and dramatically, and Salaam, Bombay is one of the best films of the year.
Well, it certainly is one of the most moving films I've seen this year, and of course it comes from the heart rather than from some kind of manufactured Hollywood deal, and that's probably why it's so good. You mentioned Dickens. I think of Hector Vivenco's Pichote, which was about Brazilian street children, and similarly about the ones who will make it and the ones who won't. It's a story that is not told. It's a story that the numbers are in the tens and hundreds of thousands, possibly. It is a beautiful story. The individual characters, I don't know how the performances were achieved. I understand it was through some kind of workshop to get these real street kids to act like actors, but eventually their natural life, which is so refreshing to see on camera, comes through, and we follow this story. I mean, it's you know, I think the thing that frustrates us so much is when we can always predict where a movie is going. Here, there's no way.
Here you can't. And the sense of life in this movie is overflowing. Now, you mentioned Pichote, the Brazilian film. The difference between these two films is instructive, I think, because there's a lot less hope in Rio and Pichote's life, because the society there is much less structured and much more brutal. The strange thing about Bombay, in this film anyway, shot by an Indian woman who presumably knows what she's talking about, is that even at the very lowest levels of society, people are recognized as existing, and they do have functions, and they can survive. So that sad as this boy's plight is, nevertheless, he's in a structure that will allow him to exist, and maybe he has a chance.
Well, I think that's what the point that she wants to hold out hope for them. I think that's an attitude of affection and love that she wants to show, and it's shown beautifully.